Alrighty, we are back with some more nonsense from the head honcho himself. Got a little weekly occurrence of it going on at this point, and of course, I'm late again, but hey, don't judge. We'll just get right into it. During EA 6.5 and through our internal tests and reviews, we've been closely analyzing how elements like player skill, gear, and HTK hit to kill interact with the combat system. Balancing skill versus gear is incredibly difficult to me because what feels fair or just right varies from player to player, and even among developers. That's how skill-based games work. You can't have a competitive game without that. This is especially true in a game like ours where both mechanical skill and long-term progression play critical roles. What we've been missing is a shared language or tool to evaluate balance objectively rather than relying on vague impressions or gut feelings. Okay. In the past, I sometimes used the term TTK to describe how fast combat plays out, but over time I realized that TTK can be a bit vague and doesn't fully fit the way our game works. Huh? It's a PvP game. Instead, we found that hit to kill, the number of hits it takes to kill someone, is a clearer and more useful metric for us. What? What? So the white items are supposed to take 3 hits to kill, the blue items are supposed to take 2, and the legendary ones take 1? Is that what they're saying? What? It's easy to measure and directly reflects 2 key factors, how strong your gear is and how well you aim, like landing headshots. Because of that, HTK gives us a solid foundation for balancing combat in a more structured and meaningful way. Of course, HTK doesn't explain everything about combat. I was thinking there was going to be some kind of but there. There are many factors that influence the outcome of a fight, but here I want to keep the explanation simple. See how simple we can get. During the EA 6.5 test, we intentionally lowered the overall HTK values and simplified this model by removing additional factors like random modifiers. As a result, we observed positive effects such as increased possibility of 1v3 comebacks and more opportunities for players with low-tier gear items to overcome opponents with stronger equipment through superior skill. It wasn't skill. None of that was skill. It's a melee game. All you gotta do is aim up a little bit. I mean, I guess we can call that skill. I don't really see how that's skill. However, there were clear downsides. Instant deaths were frequent. Bing, bing, bing. That's not skill. Which is not suitable for our game where players carry items accumulated over multiple rounds. New players often died from monsters in one hit, increasing the likelihood of quitting before learning the game. True. Through this test, I confirmed that the solution I sought was not simply a lower HTK, but rather a sufficient room for players to reduce HTK through their own skill. Not sure how that's gonna work. The basic principles we aim for in combat balance going forward are as follows. Both skill and gear must matter. Only when these 2 elements are well balanced can players feel rewarded for their growth and effort. If skill becomes too dominant, the meaning of collecting and upgrading gear disappears. Conversely, if gear becomes too powerful, the game turns into a simple stat check, reducing opportunities for skilled players to make comebacks or showcase their abilities. I feel like that should have been showcasing. HTK should be maintained at an appropriate level, allowing players to perform well. An example, landing headshots to reduce HTK and increase their chances of victory. Gear differences must have clear meaning, as this creates the fun of loot progression in the game. However, if the gap is too large, it requires too many gear brackets, making it impossible for skilled players to overcome the difference, so it needs to be tuned to a reasonable level. Summary. Gear aspect. Maintain an appropriate HTK in fights between players with similar gear levels. Recognize HTK differences caused by gear gaps as a unique feature of the game. Huh? What does that even mean? Skill aspect. Reward precise actions like headshots with higher damage, allowing skilled players to gain meaningful advantages. Which you really can't in Dark and Darker because it's melee based. Like, I understand that, headshot's going to do more damage. but it's melee based. As soon as you're on top of somebody, you're getting headshots. Ranged, that makes, a difference. But in that close quarters, like say it's rogue on rogue, you're on top of each other. All you're doing is just poking eyeballs out. Even with gear gaps provide skill. Hold up, let me reread that. Even with gear gaps, provide skilled players both opportunities to catch up without undermining the value of gear. We've prepared an appropriate HTK value for the upcoming patch and adjusted it so that players can reduce HTK through skillful play to a satisfying degree. I hope this will satisfy most of the players. Also, since there is no longer a need to undermine the gear power fantasy, we plan to keep the random modifiers in place until someday when new and exciting systems are introduced. These random modifiers will be managed at a balanced and enjoyable level without being overly restricted and will be maintained at a scale that does not require too many brackets. We're bringing them back. Dude. Why did we go through this update? Why? Okay, let me continue reading before I give my thoughts. I'm satisfied with the internal test results and eager to start adjusting the abilities of underused classes right away, but I plan to spend more time researching the remaining challenge, enabling solo players to reliably play in the mixed queue at a practical level. This will be the final challenge I want to verify through this opportunity and will do my utmost to find the answer. I don't know what the outcome will be, but please bear with me a little longer. Thank you. Oh, I almost forgot to mention one thing. The Arena Test 5 will be conducted in an SSF, Solo Self-Found, format, and players will be able to use items up to the legendary rarity. Additionally, to enhance the value of dungeon farming, the socket system will be adjusted so that players cannot reach maximum stats solely through sockets. Again, we're going back. Like, we just added the thing where you could get maximum stats, and now we're taking it back away. This change is scheduled to be applied with in this week's patch, Hotfix 90. The reason SSF was not maintained recently in the arena was due to accessibility concerns. However, since we have now created more opportunities for players to overcome gear deficiencies with skill, we plan to retest the SSF format. Arena must be clearly linked to the dungeon farming loop, and the significance of dungeon farming should be preserved at a high value. So, what I'm understanding is, just like every other update, where I'm gonna say we as in the SDF crew, where we've just nerfed things to figure out what would happen, and then buffed them back to where we were. That's the excuse that we're getting here. Again. And then, bringing back random modifiers. What was the point of taking them away? Just to say that, oh, now we know what happens if we take them away again. As if they didn't already try that and nobody liked it. And then this part right here will be maintained at a scale that does not require too many brackets. We're just going back to balancing everything again. So literally everything that we just did, this update, this poorly half-baked, not even fully cooked in his eyes, season, we're just redoing it all the way back to square one and saying that we're going to continue doing numbers changes for every update. Whoop-de-doo. Like, why are people still playing this game? Why? You can't pour enough sugar on anything that he says in this kitchen to make this any sweeter. You can't. There's nothing to sugarcoat it. It's just blatant nothing. There is nothing. Time and time again, it is, oh, well, we're going to readjust it to make it feel better. Oh, okay, well, we readjusted it, but now we don't like it because it doesn't feel as good. So we're going to readjust it again. Rinse, repeat. The sponge is wrung out dry at this point. There's no more rinsing and repeating. It's bad. But that's all. Until, a couple days from now where he says some other kind of stupid thing. But yeah. Tell me your thoughts in the comments. Please. Like, are any of you still playing this game? I'm not. I haven't touched it. Not once. It's been bad. I can't. But yeah. Later.